Please hear me say this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you, truly. This time of year simply shines a brighter light on the inner world you carry every day. You don't need a long, quiet time or a perfectly structured ritual or long hours to come back to center. Most days, all you need is 2 minutes. This is one of the most beautiful truths of the spiritual life of Christmas. God doesn't meet us in the performance of the season, not in the perfect gathering or the perfectly managed emotions or the beautiful candlelit room. God meets us in the center of the storm within ourselves, in the place inside where you can finally exhale and simply draw near to God. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are full of traditions, some we love and some we quietly outgrow. Lately, I've been thinking about the ones I love and the ones I might want to rewrite. Small things like creating a new ritual with my family or choosing one moment each day just to do something sacred for my own soul. And honestly, therapy has become part of that for me. It's a way to make sure I'm taking care of myself during a season that is so often joyful, but can also be stressful, chaotic, and even lonely. If you're thinking about starting therapy, consider BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Their therapists are fully licensed in the U.S. and follow a strict code of ethics. They make getting started simple. You fill out a short questionnaire, which helps match you with someone who fits your needs. And if the match isn't right, you can switch anytime. With over 30,000 therapists and more than 5 million people served, the platform has an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million session reviews. This December, start a new tradition by taking care of you. Our listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/bestofyou. That's better, HELP.com/bestofyou. Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of The Best of You. We are quickly approaching Christmas, and I know so many of you, if you're anything like me, are feeling the swirl of this season. The beauty, the charm, yes, but also the pressure, the weight sometimes of expectations, and the emotional complexity that tends to rise to the surface in December. This is the time of year when we're told to slow down and savor the moment, and yet for so many of us, our hearts feel anything but settled. Maybe you're feeling pulled between family needs or old dynamics that still tug at you the moment you walk through a familiar doorway. Maybe you're carrying the invisible labor of making things feel magical for everybody else, or you might be navigating loneliness, grief, or the quiet ache of feeling misunderstood. And then there's the internal pressure, that little voice that says you should be more present, more grateful, more joyful, more spiritual. It can be a lot, and our hearts can end up feeling stretched thin and pulled in every direction at once. Today, I want to offer you something gentle, a simple, grounded practice that you can return to anytime you feel the swirl inside you start to rise, a way of gathering all those scattered pieces of your heart and soul and returning to a deeper presence within, the presence of love that is with you even here. As we settle in, I want to name something I see so often this time of year in my clients and my listeners, and also, most definitely also in myself. It's what I call the inner tangle. You know that feeling when everything inside you starts firing at once? Overwhelm creeps in, your mind starts spinning, your body feels tight, and suddenly the simplest things, a comment from a family member, a change in plans, a moment of silence, feels strangely amplified. For many of us, Christmas doesn't just bring external busyness, it also stirs up the deeper layers of our inner world. Old wounds can resurface, moments when you felt left out, unseen, responsible for holding everyone else together from long ago, long before the current moment. Memories you didn't even know were still tucked inside you can suddenly feel close to the surface, and the different parts of your soul, they start working in overtime. Maybe your inner pleaser jumps to attention. Just keep everybody happy. Don't rock the boat. Or your inner perfectionist begins tightening up the reins. Make it special. Don't miss a detail. It's all on you to make it perfect for everyone. Maybe there's a lonely one inside of you who feels the quiet ache of not being truly known, even when you're surrounded by people you love. Or a tired one who has simply carried too much for too long and feels like she's running on fumes. These different parts of your soul aren't problems, right? They're ancient feelings. Often they go all the way back to survival strategies you learned in childhood long ago that come to the surface in seasons of stress and also seasons of joy and overwhelm like Christmas. These parts of you are trying to help you feel safe, loved, and connected. And the holidays have a way of lighting them up because this season is so rooted in memory, in nostalgia, in expectation, in longing. So if you're feeling that inner tangle rise, if you're exhausted, stretched thin, or suddenly emotional, please hear me say this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you, truly. This time of year simply shines a brighter light on the inner world you carry every day. Brings these inner parts of your soul to the surface. It awakens old patterns that once kept you safe. It highlights the places inside you that still long for tenderness, for reassurance, for rest. And the good news is those different activation points, those little flares inside become invitations. Not to shame yourself, but to pay attention and to meet your own soul with compassion, to return gently to God's loving presence. We'll move toward that together in just a moment, but first I want to anchor us in a spiritual reframe. As we notice this inner tangle at Christmas, I want to bring us back to a grounding truth, one that has anchored people of faith for thousands of years. It's the invitation from Psalm 46:10. I love this psalm. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Most of us hear those words and immediately think of kind of a external stillness, quiet rooms, candles, soft music, a pause from the noise, something that feels out of reach for many of us in a busy season. And while those things can help, the stillness Scripture speaks of is something so much deeper. It's within our bodies. It's within our souls. It's a whole body stillness that starts within. Stillness is not passivity. It's not shutting down. It's not pretending everything is fine. Stillness is inner spaciousness. It's the gentle, courageous act of turning inward, of noticing what's swirling inside and making room for God to meet you there. This is one of the most beautiful truths of the spiritual life of Christmas. God doesn't meet us in the performance of the season, not in the perfect gathering or the perfectly managed emotions or the beautiful candlelit room, although those things are beautiful. It's not in trying to hold everyone else together, right? God meets us in the center of the storm within ourselves, in the quiet core beneath all the pressures, in the place inside where you can finally exhale and simply draw near to God. When Scripture says, be still, it's not commanding you to shut down your emotions or silence the ache inside. It's inviting you to return to the truth deep within, that God is already here. God is already with you. God is already beside you, ahead of you, before you, and within you through the power of His Spirit. God comes to the middle of the storm. So this is where we're headed. We're going to practice what it means to come home to that inner place of love, the place where your scattered parts of your soul can gather, where they can get bandaged up and healed and touched by love itself, where God holds you steady, where you remember that you are not alone in this season or in any season. It's just a breath away. There's nothing you have to force. There's nothing you have to make happen. We're simply making space for God to meet us right where we are. Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors, but did you know indoor air can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air? Breathe easy with Air Doctor, the award-winning air purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Air Doctor was voted Best Air Purifier by Newsweek, so it's no surprise that 98% of Air Doctor customers agree their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier with Air Doctor. It makes a great gift. I'm not kidding. I have one and I love it. Unlike other purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code BESTOFYOU to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty, an $84 value. Free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com, airdoctorpro.com. Use promo code BESTOFYOU. Before we move into the practice itself, I want to show you a simple visual that captures what so many of us feel during December. I found this so helpful. I call it the 3 circles of presence. If you're watching on video, I'm going to hold up a whiteboard showing you what I'm describing, but if you're listening, you can just picture 3 overlapping circles like a Venn diagram. And circle 1 up here at the top is the circle of what others want from me. And you could even make a list if you draw your own, all the things you feel like others want or need from you. Circle 2 becomes what I expect of myself, right? These are those inner pressures, our inner expectations. You can make a list of those, the different ways we put pressure on ourselves. And then circle 3 down here at the bottom is what my soul actually needs from me, right? What my soul actually needs. And then right here at the center, I'll take a little Sharpie here and color this in. Where they overlap is what I call this place of peace. I'm going to write that here. This is the place of peace at the center. Now, I want to walk you through what tends to happen during the holidays. Most of us spend a lot of time right here in circle 1, right? This is what others want from me, right? The invitations, the expectations, the family dynamics, the emotional labor. And it's not all bad. We do want to meet the needs of others during the holiday season or during any season. But this is where we tend to spend a lot of time. It's where our pleaser kicks in, right? She starts scanning for cues, trying to keep the peace, trying to make sure everybody else is comfortable, right? Then there's circle 2, which is what I expect of myself. Again, we want to have expectations of ourselves. This isn't all bad, but it's the pressure you tend to put on your own shoulders to be cheerful, to be happy, to be present, to make it meaningful, to not disappoint anyone. This is where your inner achiever, your inner perfectionist, or definitely your inner critic tends to take over, right? If you don't hold this in balance, insisting you hold everything together. But rarely, so rarely, do we pause long enough to notice circle 3? And this is what my soul actually needs, right? This is the longing beneath these other outer expectations, outer and inner expectations. It's the place inside where parts of you feel tender. Parts of you carry grief from the past or from the present, where parts of you might be lonely or exhausted or overwhelmed, or maybe want to sense your own sense of wonder in this season, right? You have your own memories you're tapping into, right? So this is often the part of us we're not connecting to enough. And here's the thing, peace, again, is found in the overlap. It's not in abandoning people, right? Or dropping every responsibility. That wouldn't make us who we are. We're not that kind of person. We do care about other people. We do care about our own standards. But when we gently step back and also bring into focus what our soul needs, what my soul actually needs from me, from others, from this season, from God, right? What my soul actually also needs, right? This isn't also a part of this overarching diagram. That's when we begin to bring the whole thing into focus, and we can begin to discover this place of peace at the center, where what others need, what you expect of yourself, and what your soul truly longs for can come into conversation, right? Your spiritual life lives in that center space. This is the space where we have to get still for just a moment, not to ignore the needs of other people around us, not to ignore the expectations we put on ourselves, but to connect to the deeper longings in our own souls, right? This is where God meets us at the center of who we are. As you look at this visual, or maybe draw it out for yourself, I want to imagine yourself slowly stepping out of the outer swirl of circle 1 for just a moment today while we're together, and out of the inner pressure of circle 2, and join me for just a moment in circle 3, where you connect to your own deeper longings this season. We're going to take just a few moments to move into an inner check-in together. If you're able, if you're not driving a car, you can close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop for just a moment. Maybe unclench your hands. Close your eyes and take a slow breath in and a long, steady exhale out. And just right now, while you're listening, ask yourself this question: who's present in me most right now? Just notice which part of you comes forward. You might notice the pleaser, working hard to keep everyone happy. Maybe it's the perfectionist, tightening her grip. Maybe it's a lonely one, feeling a quiet ache beneath the surface. Or the tired one who's carried too much for too long. Just notice which part of you comes to the surface. And then gently ask whoever shows up, what are you afraid of right now? Listen for even the faintest whisper. Maybe she's afraid of disappointing someone. Maybe she fears being left out or misunderstood. Maybe she fears being alone or feeling invisible. Maybe she's terrified of letting something drop. Whatever comes, simply honor it. Now ask this part of you, what do you need? It's not what you should need, not what others need, but what does this part of you need from you in this moment? Maybe it's just a deep breath. Maybe it's a boundary she's aching for you to set. Maybe it's a moment of stillness each day for just a few minutes like this. Maybe it's reassurance that you see her, that you're with her. Maybe it's to be reminded she doesn't have to carry the weight on her shoulders. And now, picture God turning toward this part of you with warmth, not critiquing, not correcting, simply turning toward this part of your soul with compassion. Imagine God bending low, meeting this young version of you at eye level, calling her by name and saying, I see you. You are precious to me. You don't have to hold this alone. Let this part of you rest for a moment in that presence. This is the beginning of returning to that center of peace, not by forcing yourself to be calm, but by tending to what is true and real inside of you and allowing love to meet you there. Take one more deep breath, and when you're ready, we'll gently move forward together. I want to share a little story from my own life here because this inner tangle we're talking about is something I know really well. When my kids were younger, especially in those early years, I would make myself absolutely crazy over the holidays. And I didn't know then that it was younger parts of me stirring up, but I can see it so clearly now. I wanted to knock it out of the park for everybody else. I wanted to create magic and memories to please every member of the family, to fill everyone with delight. Right? This well-intentioned part of me just took it as her job to be the Christmas fairy, just sprinkling magic Christmas everywhere. And underneath all of that effort was this deep pressure inside myself. This belief that if I could just get it right, everyone would feel loved and I would finally feel at peace. But the truth was I was completely disconnected from my own needs. This pleaser part of me was really young. She had needs that I wasn't aware of, but she was running the show. And my achiever part was right there with her task list and her clipboard, gift after gift after gift, just redoing and overdoing and doing more and just running on empty. And deep inside, there was a part of me who longed for rest and for connection. And I didn't realize then that that part of me could never get those needs met through all that effort out here. That part of me needed God's love and needed me too, right? That part of me also needed love this Christmas season. The holidays bring a lot of beauty, but also a little tension. Last week, I woke up at 3 a.m. with my jaw so tight it felt like I'd been chewing through a to-do list in my sleep. I thought, this is exactly what my dentist warned me about. That's actually why I use Remy night guards, because apparently I'm not alone. Nearly 30% of adults clench or grind their teeth at night, and Remy's custom night guards are clinically tested to protect your teeth from grinding, help relieve jaw tension, and even improve sleep quality. And here's what I love. You get the same professional quality and comfort you would from a dentist-made guard, but at a fraction of the cost, about 80% less, and without having to schedule a single appointment. Plus, you can use your HSA or FSA benefits at checkout. Here's how simple it was for me. Remy shipped an impression kit right to my door. I followed their step-by-step guide to get a perfect mold, sent it back, and a short time later, my custom fit night guard arrived. Super comfortable, and now I can finally rest without worrying about my jaw taking the brunt of the stress. And for the holiday season, Remy is gifting customers their 2-in-1 foam. It both cleans your night guard and whitens your teeth, completely free when you order a night guard between now and December 24th. Just go to shopremy.com/bestofyou and use code BESTOFYOU to get 55% off your new night guard plus the free foam gift. That's shopremy, REMI.com/bestofyou, code BESTOFYOU. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode. And here's what would inevitably happen. By the time Christmas finally arrived, or maybe the day after, I would be exhausted, bone tired, run down, and in some cases, I'd get irritable or I'd completely shut down, right? I'd poured everything out and there was nothing left. And that didn't serve anyone. It didn't serve my family. That's not what they wanted, was an exhausted parent running around. And it certainly didn't serve me. Over time, year after year, I had to learn how to find this place of peace we've been talking about, that place in the center of the three circles. It included what others need, a desire to please others at the holidays. That's a beautiful gift, right? When it's held in balance with my own self-expectations, my own capacity, and also when held in balance with what my soul actually needs underneath it all. The shift started small. I still remember the year it began to click for me. It happened with gift buying. I realized one December that by the time I got to the fifth or sixth present for the kids, those extra gifts weren't adding any real joy. They weren't improving anything for anyone. They were coming from my pressure, not their delight. My family, my kids were just as happy, maybe even happier with the first one or two thoughtful gifts, right? It seems silly, but it was a huge moment of reckoning. Like, I can just stop. At a point, it was the part of me that was overreaching, that didn't need to do that. It wasn't pleasing anyone, least of all myself. So I experimented with something new the next year. I stopped. I set a boundary with the part of me who kept pushing for just one more. I thanked her for wanting to create meaningful memories, and then I gently told her, we're good. We've done enough. Let's rest. And you know what happened? Everyone was still happy. The joy was still there Christmas morning. And for the first time in years, I had a little gas left in the tank. I was present. And that small shift opened up a door for me. Over the next few years, I started applying the same mindset to other places, to my schedule, saying no to things that looked lovely, but would ultimately drain me. I said no to some of my own expectations, letting go of the image of the perfect Christmas, which, spoiler alert, when you let go of that, you tend to find it in unexpected places, and to my inner soul, listening for what each part of me needed instead of letting them run on autopilot. And slowly, steadily, I began to discover that inner place of peace, not by doing more, not by performing harder, but by coming home to what my soul actually needs. And I share that story because I want you to know you are not alone in this. This work takes time. It's a practice, and every small step toward that inner place of peace matters. It matters for you. It matters for the people you love. And it's the place where God loves to meet us, which is, after all, the whole point of Christmas, right? It's God coming into the mess and meeting us right where we are. So as you hear my story and engage with your own soul, I want to turn this toward your life, toward the real moments you're walking through this December, right as we head into Christmas. Because here's the truth. You don't need a long, quiet time or a perfectly structured ritual or long hours to come back to center. Most days, all you need is 2 minutes of awareness. I call this the 2-minute return to center. It's based in mindfulness, which is based on the episode I did with Dr. Judd Brewer in last week's episode. So if you want the deep dive, go back and listen to that conversation. It was such a powerful conversation, but this is the simple 3-step version. It's simple, it's repeatable, and it breaks the cycle of overwhelm right in the moment. You can practice this every day or anytime you feel overwhelmed, chaotic, or just notice one of those parts of you that we tapped into earlier today. Here's how it works. Step 1, you just pause. Take a deep breath. If it helps, place a hand on your heart or your stomach, just enough to signal to your soul, I'm here, I'm listening, right? It's that simple. Step 2, name the part of you that you notice. I see a part of me that's worried, that's bracing, that's lonely, that's overfunctioning, that's tired. Whatever rises, name it. Naming brings compassion and differentiation into the room. You're becoming mindful of what's happening in your own soul. You're getting into that third circle, right? That third circle of what my soul actually needs. And then step 3, I want you to bless this part of you. Offer a simple kindness. It makes sense that you're here. I get it. You've worked hard. You're not alone. God is here too. As part of step 3, you might invite God into this place in your soul. God, meet me right here. Not to fix, not to change, but just to be with. right? This is the opposite of inner pressure. It's inner welcome, right? It's welcoming Christ right there into that place in your own soul. Just those 3 steps. Pause, take a breath, place a hand somewhere over where you sense that inner voice, right? Name what you notice. Give it a name. And then 3, welcome with a blessing. I bless you, tiredness. It's understandable that you're here. You're welcome at the table of my soul. I bless you, you inner overworker, right? I get your good intentions. Right? You're welcome at the table. I don't want you to take over, but you get a place in my soul. And then as you take that breath, right? As you take that pause, you might just check in with yourself. What's one thing I need today? Maybe it's just a deep breath. Maybe it's to untense my shoulders. Maybe it's to take a short walk, right? It doesn't have to be fancy or a lot, but you're just trying to interrupt that loop in your soul. This simple practice can shift the entire tone of your day. It brings you out of autopilot, out of old patterns, out of those loops, and back into a grounded presence where God meets you right in the middle of what you're feeling. Here's what I want you to remember. Peace this season will not look like perfection. It will look like presence, small, grounded moments. It might look like saying a gentle no to something that stretches you too thin, like leaving a gathering just a few minutes early without guilt, like taking 3 slow breaths before responding, like stepping into a bathroom or a hallway for just a few minutes to recenter and listen to your own soul. It might mean letting go of the idea of perfection or perfect memories and instead looking for what is, because what is good and beautiful. It might mean allowing a place for grief or loneliness to sit at the table of your soul. It might mean honoring your limits without apologizing, offering compassion to yourself, to others, instead of performance. Peace is so much less like those flawless holiday photos. It's more like a steady inner exhale. It's the quiet confidence that you don't have to run ragged to be loved. You don't have to hold everything or everyone together. You don't have to live in circles 1 or 2. You can return again and again and again to the center, to what your soul actually needs, and to the presence of God who is with you right here. Wherever this season finds you, you are not alone. I promise you, there is a place inside of you where God is already waiting to greet you, to welcome every single part of your soul with love. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Best of You. Be sure to check out the show notes for any resources and links mentioned in the show. You can find those on my website at dralisoncook.com. That's Alison with 1 L, cook.com. Before you forget, I hope you'll follow the show now so that you don't miss an episode. And I'd love it if you'd go ahead and leave a review. It helps so much to get the word out. I look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday. And remember, as you become the best of who you are, you honor God, you heal others, and you stay true to your God-given self.